can I just come in on something that a point that John made about MPs and the role they can play for their constituents in prison? And we saw this; it was absolutely true when Cressy, the 22-year-old who's been jailed for 4 years, and Lucia were in Bronzefield, and Lucia in particular was having a really, really difficult time in there for all kinds of reasons. And their MPs intervened, and they were moved quite quickly to Send, which is a different prison and has been much better. But I just want to say for them, because I know what they would want me to say, they are very conscious that that isn't what most people get in prison. And no one has asked the question. It's been interesting, you know, what is a political prisoner? And both Lucia and Cressy were keen to say, you know, everybody that they're in prison with, in one way or another, as a political prisoner. You know, the young mother who might be in prison because she's stolen formula to feed her child because of the situation across our public services. So I think they're really keen, you know, yes, very aware of the advantages that they might have with this kind of campaign behind them. But that's not the situation for a lot of people in our prisons right now.
Let's quickly add something just while we're here, just on how it's been for the political prisoners, especially the ones who have originally held under terrorism legislation and then remanded to prison. They've all been isolated from each other, the women especially, in HMP Bronzefield, have been separated from each other. Most of them have not been able to receive postcards that people have been sending in a month on. Emails have been heavily, heavily censored so that we can't get them the adequate support. And they'd already been held for a long time incommunicado. So for some of them, it's been 2 or 3 weeks until they could contact their families and friends, which is a very long time. And also the nutrition, a lot of them are not getting adequate nutrition, weren't getting adequate nutrition under the original detention under the terrorism legislation. And people who have like allergies or vegetarian aren't being given food suitable for their diet, so have had sufficiently lack of food, which is something which I think is quite common in prisons. But I think that the fact that they were originally detained under terrorism has meant that they've been held under a more restricted situation inside the prisons and have been restricted of rights or classified as higher security prisoners, the women especially, not necessarily the men.